So I will tell you that I was at a conference on Monday, a conference that was called Aspire. And there was a guy who was up on the stage and he was talking about the power of sharing our story. And one of the first people that I thought of was this woman that I'm popping on the screen right now, Jill McMahon. Hi, Jill.
Hi, friend.
I thought of you, Jill, because he was talking about the power of sharing our story. And he said something to the effect of what you've gone through is magic to somebody else.
Wow.
And I was like, yes. Okay. So then how do we apply this to the grief conversation? And now our audience understands why we're showing up today on this particular podcast to hash this out over the next 20 minutes. So let's start there. The power of sharing your grief story. Valuable, invaluable? Am I just trauma dumping? Am I just bumming people out? Is it actually good for me? What does it do? These are the questions that I hope we'll kind of jam on today. So let's start with that first one. Is there value in sharing my grief story, oh wise one, Jill?
Incredible value, my friend. Like top dollar value, like not 99-cent value, like $1 million value. It is the difference between imploding, in my opinion, imploding in a silo of loneliness because you don't feel like anybody can get your story, wants to hear your story, or that your story is understandable. So
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Right. Like, let's pause right here because this is such a, what if I'm somebody who, like you and I have been given the gift of gab. It is easy for us to articulate our feelings, to say what we're thinking and say what we're feeling. That is not the case for everybody else. So let's talk right now to the person who's like, look, I'm really going through it, or I've been through it, or I've got this grief journey that I've been on, but I just don't know how to share my story. What would you recommend as a grief counselor and somebody that's been in this field for, 620 years?
Thanks for that, by the way. Thank you.
What?
You just aged me a lot. Okay, two things. I love that you asked this question. This is why you and I blend so well together. Can we just, everybody, get rid of the phrase trauma dumping?
Yeah.
You said it in the introduction. I'm so glad you said it in the introduction. That term is keeping people from sharing.
I love it.
Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see where that's coming from?
1,000%. Yeah. Look, I'm all about the trauma dump. So I think it's all right.
We have lived in a culture, my friend, for decades, if not longer, that has struggled to share their woes because they don't feel comfortable enough, because we have to live up to this persona and everybody has to be okay. So, fast forward to 2026, where we have all of these trendy terms, trauma dump being one of them. And now we feel additionally stigmatized to share. I mean, it's, we walk in social circles and say, ugh, well, I can't go out on a second date with that girl again because she just trauma dumped on me in date one. Well, no, see, what happened is you probably went out on a first date with a girl that isn't afraid to share her emotions, but that was uncomfortable to you.
I love that.
So I just want to set that out there because I think it's really important for the average individual whom is not Jill or Mathew, who may struggle to find comfort and or find the words. Start anywhere. Wouldn't you agree, my friend? I'd rather you say 2 sentences about something that's really meaningful and painful to you than no sentences at all.
So if I was on the stage right now and I was delivering a keynote, what I would suggest to people is a tool that I use called the runway. And, I'll articulate it this way. It's like you think about what happens on the runway, right? That you get revved up and something's about to happen. And then as you ascend, it's a little bit bumpy. It's a little bit shaky, but eventually you get up there and, things smooth out. But the benefit of the setting it up this way is that when you land on the other side, you're in a new place. And that's what I think people are looking for. So my advice to people, and I want your validation on this, or you can challenge me on it, would be to say to somebody, I'm in the middle of this grief journey right now, and I don't know how to talk about it, but I know that I need to talk about it.
Beautiful.
That's it. That's the sentence that I would recommend people deliver, because If the person you're sitting across from is any kind of human being who's got any kind of social skills at all, their follow-up question or their follow-up statement would probably be something to the effect of, let's go, let's just jump in, like just start talking. Like, don't worry about where to start. Let's go. So give me your take on that.
Let's acknowledge the energy in the air, right? So what you just proposed, I believe is very beneficial, because you and I know, and I would hope that anybody who listens agrees, that when we're sitting in community with somebody else and something is off, we can feel it. We know it's there. So as the other participant in that relationship or in that circle, oftentimes we fill the space because of that discomfort that you and I have talked about so many times. We don't know what to do with that energy that's off. So we'll start cracking jokes, or we'll bring up stories that, just to fill the air. Where I would say, even if you're the partner, why wouldn't you say, like, hey, acknowledge the air. Hey, are you okay? Like, I noticed you're a little heavy today. I'm here for it if you want it. Or if you just want today to be a lighthearted day, I'm here to do that for you too. Let me know how you want me to show up for you.
I'm glad you put all that stuff on the end, because I don't know how, but the algorithm figured out on my Instagram to show me a few coaches. And there's this coach that just keeps showing up. And she talks about all the phrases that are fucking useless. And she says things like, are you okay? Is everything all right? What's going on? How was your day? Like, all of these phrases are so
what can I do for you?
To people. Yeah. Like, they're so useless to people. And so I'm glad you put some context on that. It's like, hey, is everything okay? Because I feel like there's an energy in the air where, X, Y, and Z. So I'm glad you articulated that. Anything you want to add before I kind of move on from how to get the conversation started?
I'm going to go back to one additional thing, Matthew. You had started that question with, what if you are the griever and you're not good at sharing? How do we go there? You're going to have to take a little leap of faith. But as you and I just shared, we would rather that you say something than say nothing. So you can either just say, like, hey, I know we're going downtown for this concert tonight. I'm here. Like, I hopped in the car. I just put my seatbelt on, but I want you to know, like, I'm having a little bit of a down day today. I'm here with you, but just acknowledging that, let's not make it the elephant in the room. And I'm going to promise you, as a griever, I say this to my clients all of the time, a few things are going to happen. That individual's either going to look at you and go like, oh, okay, dang it. But they're going to be aware that you need a little additional support that day. Or they're going to look at you and go, I got it. We're good. I can handle you. I can handle this. Don't be afraid of your emotions spilling all over me. Like, I'm good. And I don't think the griever realizes that, Mathew. I think the griever just feels like nobody wants to hear my story. I don't want to be an additional burden. But really, one of two things are going to happen when you take that big step and you own your stuff. They're going to, you might not get the response you want, but you've set an expectation in your friend's mind of like, okay, they may need a little something additional today.
Can I just say to the person that's in the passenger seat, that's not the griever, that we don't need you to fix anything. And I'll share a story with you. It's like, a couple of years ago, I lost my best friend of 30 years. You and I have talked about Kwok 100 times personally and privately, and then and on this podcast. And there are days where I just need to articulate to a friend like, man, I'm really missing Kwok today. I'm really missing the ability to call him or just, jump on the phone, or I miss his laugh, or I miss hearing his voice. And all I really need that person that I'm directing that content towards to say is, we want to talk about, you want to share a story. You want to, do you want me to share a story? Like, I don't need you to fix. And so I just want to say that to the person, because that can, if somebody comes to you and they're sharing your grief story with you, don't feel like you need to fix shit. You can't bring them back. So it's okay. We don't need you to fix it all. We just need you to, like you said, hear it. Like, just hold the space for it. When people talk about that term, I'm going to hold the space, I think that's what they're talking about, is
literally
just allowing me the room to navigate these feelings, right?
Exactly. Perfectly
Mm.
said.
Mm. So now let's talk about the value in sharing
Mm,
your story. The podcast here today is called The Power of Sharing Your Grief Journey. And you said it's worth its weight in gold. You said it's $1 million currency.
good.
From your vantage point, Jill, what is the real value of sharing that story? What does it do for you? What does it do for the people around you?
So I think if we have had an uncomfortable experience, with which most of us have, right? Through storytelling and narrative, we are able to reclaim our experience. I
Okay.
know that's kind of a big term, but instead of allowing the experience to control you, you take control over the experience. The more you share it, the more you put uh, cohesive words to it, the more you choose which order you're going to put the series of events in, you're reclaiming the experience. You're reframing your trauma. So we have the ability to do that, Mathew. I don't think a lot of people realize that. They think I was involved in a head on car accident. My car was totaled. I feared for my life. I experienced an injury that took me months and months to heal from. I will never be the same. I will always be fearful of driving on the highway. Okay, well, you've just told yourself that you'll always be afraid of driving on the highway, and you've just told yourself that you will never be the same.
Because the
By
brain believes what you tell it.
Because the brain, oh, I love you. Because the brain believes what you tell it. So
Yeah.
through narrative and storytelling, we get to reframe the trauma. And the more you tell your story to whomever has a few minutes to listen, the more you learn to become resilient. Because each time you tell it, here's another thing I say, my friend. I say it all the time. The brain believes what you tell it, but I also need you to clean out your trash.
Yeah.
Right? We shove these stories down. We shove this grief down. I am different than everybody else. My experience is different than everybody else. Nobody can relate. And we shove it and we shove it and we shove it. Well, just like a trash can, you can only fill it so high. You can only shove it down so much and it will start billowing out. And as you and I know, that's when we become unhealthy. That's when we have mental breakdowns. That's when we have blow up at a family member or at a friend that we love dearly that we didn't mean to blow up at. That's when we start driving erratically. So narrative and storytelling fosters resilience. We take control over the story over and over and over again. And my friend, I think it's really important in this conversation. I think you're going to agree that we have been storytellers since the beginning of time,
Yeah.
right? The cavemen were sitting in the caves around fires telling stories about the adventures of their day. Or they were, drawing images on walls, telling stories. It is an important part of resilience. Go ahead. Go crazy.
I love it. No, but something just shot through me really fiercely. So I know
I
I'm
love it.
supposed to ask this question. In the days of social media, we've long since we've come a long way since the caveman. Now sometimes I need to post about my mom on social media, or I need to post that I miss my friend on social media, or I need to post that I had this car accident a year ago and I'm still grateful to be alive. Just like the conversation we had a few minutes ago, where I say to you, what does the person need to say to help you navigate that space? What are the appropriate comments? What are the things that we should be saying online to somebody when they post that type of, when they have that admission of, I'm having a really tough day and I'm missing my mom? Like we always say, grief doesn't always have to be death. So I'm having a really tough day because I'm still unemployed and I can't find a new job. What's your advice for people to, get in the comments, and what would you recommend people say?
First, be appropriate. You and I shouldn't even have to say that, but we live in a world where behind a computer screen and on a keyboard, we feel like we can type anything. So unfortunately, I feel like just be kind. We'll start there. But secondly, I'm going to go back to what you said a few minutes ago. Just the simple, I'm here for you, man. Don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
don't sit there in the comments and go, but did you try? And I know a guy and I could connect you with, hey, you can take that offline. But in the comments, like, heart, love you, here for you, normalize it. Normalize it. I will say that when people spill their hearts out on social media, appropriate or inappropriate, because we both know that there can be both. When there are crickets in the comments, when there's nothing, that sometimes can be really damaging too, right? A simple like, a simple heart, a simple, I'm so sorry for your loss. That's it. They're not, for some people, social media is a safe way to grieve because we are behind a screen and we may not have the confidence yet to say it out loud in front of a room or group of people or a carload of people, right? It may be easier. So there has been talk for probably 10 years now if it's appropriate to grieve online and why are people airing their dirty laundry? Again, maybe we don't need to air our dirty laundry. We don't need to go into private matters necessarily on social media. But if you're hurting and that gives you a safe place to share it, share it. But I'm asking people to respond supportively then, right?
Yes. As we wind down, I want to share with our audience because, I always want to make sure we challenge people that are listening to do something next. When we had the podcast, Learn from People Who Lived It, we talked to 350 different people about the worst day of their lives and how they were able to bounce back from it and become, successful members of society again. And in all the ways that I mean that. And, if there's one lesson that I learned over the last 4 years of doing that podcast, it's this: the power of sharing your grief journey helps other people feel less alone. It helps other people feel like they are not on an island. And so when you talk about $1 million currency, I challenge anybody listening to us right now. The moment somebody has said something, done something that has made you feel like you are not alone anymore, try to put a value on that. There's something so grounding, I think is the word, where when somebody shares what's going on in their life, you go, oh man, me too. God, I just feel a little bit more normal now, right?
We are, I think in 2026, we are living in a pandemic of loneliness. So as what you just said, share your story and let's stop living in silos and let's start supporting each other.
Love it. Jill McMahon has written an incredible book. If you scan that QR code in the top right, you can see it. It is called Bulletproof. It is the book that is right there, right below her right now. I encourage everybody to jump on it, especially if you are a gun violence survivor, as she was. It just gives you a lot of great context, and it does the very thing that we just talked about a second ago. After you read this book, not only will you have some tools, you will inevitably feel less alone. Jill, I look forward to jamming with you next week. Thanks for coming on today to have this conversation with me.
Love you always. Appreciate our talks.
All right. See you.